I grew up right up the street here, right where Griffin Road ends out in Davie, and I can tell you that we live in the best state in the country.
Yeah.
Governor DeSantis has done an extraordinary job. Sadly, he is term limited. And so that presents a dilemma, which is, what do we do next? Now, I got to tell you, I don't talk about this often, but I actually sat down with Congressman Donalds for dinner before I made this decision. Just he, his wife, and myself. And I wanted to get a better idea of what his vision for Florida was before I made this decision to perhaps jump into this race. And this is not about the who, although we just listened to the who. This is not about the who. This is about the what. What vision for Florida do you want? The way I see it is there are not two men on the ballot. There are two visions. Was that Byron? There are two visions. There are two visions on the ballot. Two visions. Old Florida and New Florida. New Florida is irresponsible and reckless overdevelopment. We've seen it here in Broward County. New Florida is making Florida the financial capital of the world, whatever that means. It means abandoning on our legacy and heritage of agriculture, giving up on citrus and ranchers. It means allowing AI data centers to get built in the name of technological innovation, but putting those costs on working families, young couples, and our seniors. New Florida is more people moving here, more traffic, infrastructure that just can't keep up, all in the name of the euphemism of the decade, which is economic development. Look, I'm all for economic development. The problem is, when economic development doesn't happen in a smart way, happens too quickly, without much planning, we end up bearing the cost. Ask yourself, how many more Dollar Generals do we need in Broward County? How many more self-storage units do you need on US 1? Whatever the heck a Five Below is, we don't want any more of them. And that doesn't make you anti-capitalist, it makes you pro-America. Because what our founding fathers understood, what they entrusted us with when they set this bold experiment into motion nearly 250 years ago, is that we are in control of what happens on our land and our soil. In the same way, we don't want foreign companies controlling our politics, foreign countries controlling the way our government runs. It doesn't seem like a problem these days, does it? We don't want reckless development that we pay the price of. That's New Florida. New Florida, if 8 years of New Florida happens, the state that we know and love will be unrecognized. Full stop. I grew up in Davie out in Shenandoah off of 148th, and I can tell you, we had citrus groves out in Davie off of Flamingo and Griffin. We went off of 27, and you would see agriculture as far as the eye can see. You'd see great paying jobs for students, yes, out of college, but oftentimes right out of high school. And so I'm not going to promise you anything extra. I don't believe that Florida's future is some futuristic Dubai, Singapore-like utopia. I don't think Florida's future looks like Brickell. I think Florida's future looks like Davie, looks like Oakland Park, looks like what we used to do. And look, the future is not in the future is in the past. Everything that we can accomplish together, we've already done before. Great paying jobs for 20 and 30-year-olds, we've done that. We can do it again. Owning a home before the age of 30, we've done that before. We can do it again. You, your kids, or your grandkids raising their kids on a single income, we've done it before. We can do it again. Balancing conservation and infrastructure and economic development, we've done it before, and we can do it again. That is the choice we have. I don't believe that Florida should look like New York ever. If we wanted skyscrapers, we could move to New York City. But New Yorkers are moving here because they value our way of life, although we can never let them change our way of life. That's what's on the ballot. Old Florida versus New Florida. And I'll tell you, on Election Day, August 18th, 2026, I'm not asking you for your vote. I'm asking you to hire me. Hire me for this job. I work for you. What does that mean? I work for you. It means when you make that decision on whether to hire me or Congressman Donalds, who, I've got nicknames for, and I troll once in a while because as one American president rather eloquently said, we do a little bit of trolling, but I digress. I believe he's a good man, but we have radically different visions for our state. Radically different visions. Let me tell you right now, Wall Street used to work hand in glove with Main Street. The stock market going up used to mean that working families and seniors were doing well at the same time. The GDP, whatever that means, gross domestic product, AP macro, sophomore year, I got a 4. I went to Western High School. I'm still salty about it. But GDP, as defined in Chapter 2 of Gregory Mankiw's AP macroeconomic textbook, is consumption plus investment plus government expenditure plus net exports. Great. What does any of that mean? 8 years ago, Florida GDP was $1 trillion. Today, it's $1.85 trillion. They say that the GDP, the wealth of the state, has gone up by 85%. Do you feel 85% richer? No. 85% better off? I voted for President Trump in 2024, but I got to tell you, the golden age is not here. And the golden age cannot be measured by the stock market. Not by the S&P, and certainly in Pam Bondi's case, not by the Dow at 50,000 when there are pedophiles in our government that must be held accountable. Yeah. George Orwell said in 1984 rather brilliantly that the party's final and most essential command was to deny the evidence of your eyes and ears. We've all seen what's in the Epstein files. And I don't care if you're a Democrat or you're a Republican. If you are implicated in those files, you must be brought to justice. And we cannot wait for the federal government to bring depraved, sick, disgraceful men to justice. I don't know what Kash Patel does on any given day. Because competence is not one of his core strengths. Honestly, I would not trust Kash Patel to investigate what happened to my DoorDash last night. Nope. Where did that lo mein go? That's a really good question. He took it to the Olympics, exactly. So, the beautiful thing about our founders is they understood that the federal government was not its own thing, it was a creation of the state government. Every single one of Epstein and his co-conspirators didn't just break federal law, they broke state law. One in particular, capital sexual battery in Florida state statute. Capital sexual battery, like murder, does not carry a statute of limitation. Whether the act happened 20, 30, 40 years ago, we can still arrest, arraign, indict you, and after a jury of your peers finds you guilty, we'll handle you then. Yeah. On my first day, I'm not a big day one guy because we've got a lot to do. On my first day in office, I will appoint a special prosecutor to reopen the Epstein investigations in Florida. Yeah. I don't care if there's a D next to your name, if there's an R next to your name, how wealthy you are. We know about the island. We talk about the island, Little St. James in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The island that doesn't get enough attention is the island where Jeffrey Epstein committed most of his crimes. That island is right here in Florida. The island of Palm Beach, where he lived, where he trafficked women, where Ghislaine Laxwell recruited women. We have every single ability to bring those men to justice, not just to deliver justice for the victims of Epstein and his co-conspirators, but to send a loud and clear message that that conduct, that heinous behavior, can never be tolerated in a free society. Yeah. And so the choice is ours. What do we want to do? Do we want to measure the economy by the stock market, 50,000 on the Dow, 7,000 on the S&P? Your gas prices are going up a lot over the next week with this war in Iran. And if you would have said 4 days ago that the war in Iran was started by Israel, that they dragged us into this war, you'd have been smeared as a conspiracy theorist and community noted on the internet. Until Marco Rubio literally admitted on camera that we started this war because Israel asked us to. I don't care if you love or if you are infinitely skeptical of Israel. No American should ever die for Israel. Period. None. No American should ever die for Israel. That's where we are. And by the way, it doesn't make you anti-Semitic to say that, just as if you said, no American should die for Eastern European countries doesn't make you anti-Slavic. No American should die for Liberia doesn't make you anti-black. Because guess what? It's young black boys and white boys from all over Florida who are going to be sent to fight in that war. And I'm not asking you to elect me to be the Secretary of War. I'm asking you to elect me to be the governor of Florida. We have one mission as the governor of Florida, and that is to protect the people of our state. To the 12,000 members of the Florida National Guard, know this: I will never, ever allow you to be sent to a foreign war unless it was authorized by Congress. If a war is so necessary, if Iran is such an imminent threat to us and our people, then have a debate on the Senate and the House floor and answer the questions that Patriot Thomas Maskey is asking of the government. We've been here before. Iraq, Democrats and Republicans on the same side of a disastrous mistake. We cannot do this again and again and again. My view is, if you are America first, that is not about Republican or Democrat, about left versus right. It is about right versus wrong. It is wrong to take money from AIPAC and then say you represent the citizens of this country. That does not make you an anti-Semite, because I would extend it to say I will take money from no country. Not from Australia, not from India, not from Sweden, not from anyone. Least of all because I don't want you to think that I'm compromised. And you might be asking yourself, well, I never heard of this guy before. How do we know we can trust you? How do we know, after conservatives, independents, and yes, even our friends on the left, I believe that there are patriots who voted for Kamala Harris and patriots who voted for Donald Trump. Whether you're black or white, rich or poor, wherever you live in Florida, I will work for you with equal vigor. Yeah. But how do we know that we can trust you? You don't. You can't. And honestly, if I were in your shoes and someone just fell onto the map like I have, guess what? Censorship. That's interesting. If I were you, I'd be skeptical of me too. I can't tell you to trust me. What I can do is I can show you to trust me. We got 5 months to go, and I can tell you this. We launched this campaign just 2.5 months ago. The first poll that came out was at 2%. The latest poll has us at 23%. We are surging. We are surging. And why? Because we are willing to show up where other candidates don't. There is no town, no county too big or too small to not show up and take your questions, to share our vision for a state, a vision that transcends the left and the right, but a vision that looks out for young couples, for working families, and of course, our seniors. We are right on his bumper. Soon, we will pull him over. Congressman Donalds, license and registration, please. Easy there, hands where I can see him. Congressman, step out of the car. Hands behind your back. You are under arrest for betraying America to Israel. Whether you betray our country and our values to another, whether it's Benedict Arnold or whether it's Byron Donalds, it does not matter. That's why I've said I will take $0 from AIPAC, because I work for you and you alone.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, sir.
You can clap. I'm getting used to that, by the way, because I've done a lot of public speaking. They asked, well, why does he sound like a high school debate kid? Because I was a high school debate kid. But it is weird to still time the claps on stuff. I'm still figuring that out. So if it's not GDP, if it's not the stock market, then what is it? How should we measure prosperity? As I don't think you can go off of vibes. I don't want the vibe argument, right? It doesn't feel like the economy is working. What does that mean? Feel. How about this? 3 things. Number 1, what percentage of 30-year-olds are married and own their home? What percentage of 30-year-olds are married and own their home? That's the first thing. Well, in 1960, when my dad was growing up in Plantation, half of 30-year-olds were married and owned their home. Today, it's less than 15%. That is a travesty. If you don't have the ability to buy the dirt under your feet, to marry the woman of your dreams, to put a couple branches on that family tree, if you don't have the ability, as the Gospel of Matthew calls us, to be fruitful and to multiply, then nothing else matters. So let's tackle that problem first if we can. Everything that I will look at from an economic development standpoint is, does this or does this not help 30-year-olds get married and buy their home? Okay, let's start. AI data centers. Does an AI data center help a 28-year-old get married and buy their home? No, instinctually we say no, but let's pop open the hood for a sec. An AI data center, which makes a Costco look like a 7-Eleven, by the way, massive. They'll use 500,000 gallons of water every single day. They'll use the equivalent of 50,000 homes of electricity every single day, powering these server farms. And who do they employ? About 50 people. Highly specialized labor, often from India and China. So if you're going to come build an AI data center, and you're not going to hire anyone who's local, you're going to take up 50 to 100 acres, and because of the massive demand of electricity you will bring on the grid, we all will pay higher electric bills. We all will see our water quality degrade, because you're sucking up 500,000 gallons every 24 hours and then putting it back into the system as reclaimed water. So right off the bat, do AI data centers help 30-year-olds get married and buy a home? Yes or no? No. So we're not going to do it. As governor, I will ban the construction of any AI data center in Florida. Full stop. Well, that's not capitalism. I don't care what capitalism says. Look, we have a choice. My favorite economist, Thomas Sowell from Stanford, said, there are no solutions in politics, there are just trade-offs. Let's talk about the trade-off for a second. Scam Altman wants to build an open AI data center out on Griffin Road in US 27. And if he does that, their profits will go up. And the new version of ChatGPT, which by the way has gotten completely awful at this point. It actually seems worse today than it was 12 months ago, but I digress. ChatGPT will come out 3 weeks sooner if they build that AI data center. So Sam Altman gets rich, and we pay for it, or do we want 30-year-olds to be able to buy their home and get married? Yeah. That's the trade-off. Because no one can win. Not everybody can win in this situation. Not everybody can win. And the same way that as conservatives, we reject welfare queens living off of the government, treating welfare not as a safety net, but as a safety jacuzzi. In the same way we reject welfare from welfare queens, we reject corporate welfare from billionaire tech bros who want to take over our land and have us pay for it. That's your choice. So, AI data centers, can't do it. Why? Now, hold on. Let's do a comparison. Aerospace Manufacturing Center. We send $17 billion of aerospace equipment every single year to Brazil. It's our #1 trading partner. That's why in my first 100 days, I will visit the country of Brazil to sign a trade agreement to double that number to $35 billion and create 5,000 new jobs for Floridians. So we're going to build an aerospace manufacturing center. Well, let's see. Does it employ local labor? Sure, because it already has consistently $17 billion of exports. With that local labor comes income. With that income comes stability. With that stability comes a home. With that home comes a marriage. With that marriage comes kids. With those kids come grandkids. You live out the full arc of the American dream right here in the Sunshine State. So you can't just look at a building and say, I'm against that. You have to pop open the hood. Does it help us? Does the development create local jobs? Local jobs. Remember, when they say, well, this project will create 200 jobs, who were they for? They said Made in America for years was our North Star. Made in America by Americans must be our North Star. And when I say Made in America, I don't just mean aerospace equipment. I mean services. We are proud to have an incredible hospitality and tourism scene. But when you walk into a Marriott hotel or the Hilton or even go to Epcot, the person serving you, that Dole Whip, which is delicious, by the way, that pineapple Dole Whip, or the hot dog or the popcorn or the Mickey Mouse ice cream cake, the person serving you that is more often than not from a foreign country, here on a foreign immigration visa, for one reason and one reason only, because they are cheaper. The people who used to work at Disney World, at our hotels, at our resorts, used to be the young people in this room. Not because it was a great paying job, but it was a place to start. And the adults here know you need a job to be able to get a job. It's that chicken and egg dilemma. You need experience to be able to get that first job. And so if you're Disney, if you're Marriott, if you're Hilton, if you're any company that's relying on foreign immigrant workers, it's time to cut it out. And as governor, I will reassert the truth that jobs here in Florida are for us and not for foreigners. Go look at pictures of Disney in the 1990s or the 1980s. The girl working at Space Mountain was from Miramar or from Oakland Park. The person checking you in at a local hotel here on Fort Lauderdale Beach or Dania Beach was actually from the community. And so once again, that Thomas Sowell framework comes to mind. The trade-off. Not a solution, the trade-off. Disney and their profits and their labor margins, or Floridians and their ability to get a great paying job right out of high school to build their resume to do something extraordinary. A or B, which one do you choose? You can say it out loud. Not B for Byron, but B for that question there. So that is what we're doing. That is what we have to do. We have to say that whether you're a high school grad working at Disney, whether you're a FAMU grad or an FSU grad or an FAU grad where my grandfather taught computer science for 20 years, no matter where you are in the labor pool, there will be an opportunity to work a great paying job. And when you have H-1Bs coming from India and China, I'm sure they're smart, I'm sure that they're special. But the only reason that they're coming here is because they are cheaper. That is not a meritocracy. First and foremost, qualified workers from Florida should be able to get these jobs. And they will tell us, well, how can you be so cruel toward the immigrants? They want to come here and just have a better life. And the only appropriate response is, how can you be so cruel to us? We just want to exist and have a great life. I will put you and your kids and your grandkids first every single time. That means ending the foreign immigration scam and actually standing up for our workers. Because guess what? If you don't have a job, you don't have an income. If you don't have an income, you don't have a home. If you don't have a home, you're not married. If you're not married, you don't have kids. And if you don't have kids, what's the point? Everything is downstream of economic self-sufficiency. And I'll get more flack from the Republican establishment on this point because they'll say it's capitalism, it's a free labor market. Well, if capitalism was what we are supposed to worship, slavery would still be legal today. It's a free market. There's a buyer, there's a seller, there's an equilibrium price. There was quite literally an auction and it was disgraceful. But guess what? Some things are bigger than the free market. You have a choice. Do you want to put the free market or free people on a pedestal? I don't worship any economic ideology. What I will put forward is that free people, when given the opportunity to work, will take that opportunity every single time. And you go back up, that starts with our schools. That starts with our schools. How do we make sure that our public schools are graduating students who can jump into a labor market, who can work? I think that should be our North Star. That when you graduate from a Florida public high school, maybe you don't want to, but at least you have the skills and the abilities to jump right into the labor market. There's no reason that a high school grad from where I graduated, Boyd H. Anderson High School, class of 2013, there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to enter the labor market and make $40,000 to $50,000. Now, how do we do that? Well, we have to bring back actual, practical career education. Let's bring back home economics. Let's mandate financial literacy, not a 20-minute webinar, actual financial literacy, home economics, job training. And something I'm proud to announce in the county that I grew up in, make a little news today, every single Florida high school student will be required to do an internship in high school. You're not graduating without the internship. So if you want to serve as a police officer, we are going to work with the Broward Sheriff's Office to make sure that there are 100 internships lined up. If you want to get into culinary arts, we're going to make sure that local restaurants have tax incentives to bring you on as an intern, because I believe that you can study the book on cooking all day long. You can read that book cover to cover, but at the end of the day, if you don't step into the kitchen and see how it's done, you'll never have the practical skills. And when I mean the practical skills, I don't mean managing the air fryer. I mean managing a team, dealing with the pressure, the self-discipline of showing up early and staying late. Internship for every single public high school student. That will give them the skills. And I'll tell you, our public schools are not possible without our public school teachers. I am not going to parrot the Republican establishment talking point line that public school teachers wake up with the intent to indoctrinate our kids. Yes, are there teachers who come into class acting like Rachel Maddow and Hassan Piker? Of course there are. I had a couple myself. And we had some lively debates. I'm going to pull the tape on that. But let's just get real for a second. Most teachers show up early, stay late, dig into their own pockets to cover school supplies or the lunch money for the kid who forgot it, which was me at Indian Ridge Middle School more often than I'd like to admit. More students showing up who are inspired, motivated, and instilled with an indelible curiosity. I will defend our public schools and our public school teachers, and that means that recognizing that getting paid $42,000 a year is not enough when you are acting as a role model for thousands of students. We will raise teacher pay. And I say that as a public school kid from kindergarten, Flamingo Elementary, to Indian Ridge, to 2 years at Western, to 2 years at Boyd Anderson. I say that as the proud brother of a public school teacher, as the proud grandson of a public school teacher of 2 decades at Plantation High School, that we need to do right by our public school teachers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I'm a business guy. So I want a little bit of a performance-based system for our public school teachers too. We're going to raise that baseline teacher pay by 25%. But we're also going to do the first of its kind performance-based education pay. 3 metrics: test scores, evaluations from parents, and evaluations from students. I don't believe that test scores alone will tell you the whole photo. And guess what? What is the baseline for test scores? It is how the students tested at the end of their last semester. What was the growth? Ernest Hemingway has a brilliant quote. There is nothing noble about being superior to your fellow man. True nobility is being superior to your former self. And at the end of those 180 public school days, whether it's here in Broward County or in Brevard County, at the end of the day, if your students walk out of that classroom on the last day of school better than when they walked in, there's no reason that a performance-based pay would not pay our teachers $100,000 a year. Yeah. Show me the incentive, I'll show you the outcome. I'll always defend public school teachers, the vast majority of them who aren't political, who don't try to make it about themselves. But we have to also be honest that there are who fall into that. Right off the bat, if you're a public school teacher pushing white guilt in our schools, you will not be a public school teacher as governor. You will not be telling the white kids to apologize to the black kids, and you will not tell the black kids that because of systemic racism, they cannot make it. We are all created in God's image. Every single one of us is capable of greatness. I mean, think about it. If you really wanted to be racist, what you would actually do is pull a young black boy aside who is curious, who's got wide eyes and bushy tails, and you would say, you're never going to make it. Haven't you seen the statistics of incarceration, of the school to prison pipeline? Didn't you see what happened to George Floyd and Trayvon Martin? You'll never make it. Admit and surrender and concede. That is no way to raise our children. That slanderous lie from the devil's mouth of systemic racism will be eradicated in our public schools. We also need parents to become more involved. Even those who are involved. Because I'll tell you, parental involvement in our schools is not a nice to have. It is absolutely necessary. Well, how do we do it? Is there going to be a PTA meeting? Is there going to be a Zoom call? No. As a parent, there will be a parent-teacher conference that you must attend twice a year with your child and all of their teachers. Bring them back in. Open the line of communication. What is your child doing right, and what can they improve on? We need parents to continue to step up at home. That when you have an assignment about Andrew Jackson, that when you get home, the parent knows you're already working on it, has discussion questions, knows how to engage. If we want parents to be involved in reading How to Kill a Mockingbird or Cloud Atlas, why don't we send the parents a book as well? It costs us $5. Let's engage the parents to read alongside their children. Let's involve them every single day. And overnight, we will see not just brighter students, but more confident students whose parents will be proud of everything they've done.
Yeah.
We also need to expect more of our students. The days of showing up to school dressed like Snoop Dogg and Playboy Cardi are over.
Yes.
You are how you dress, full stop. You wouldn't take me seriously up here as I was in the Nike tracksuit looking like Maduro. You wouldn't take me seriously. So if we want the internships, if we want the discipline, the self-respect, kids to have a little bit of pep in their step, what we will do, and I will do as governor, is mandate a statewide curriculum for every single public school student. It's called being dressed for success. And to the student who says, well, we don't have the money, well, where did you get the Nike tracksuit from? Get yourself some khakis. Get yourself a polo. And don't forget the belt before you show up to school, sagging at the knees like some kind of hoodlum. It will end. Pull up your pants, put down the blunt, and go to church. Enough. It's called tough love, guys. A real friend is someone who doesn't tell you what you want to hear. It's someone who tells you the truth. My mom told me the truth when I was in 7th grade. Stop eating so many Lunchables. And she banned me from eating Lunchables. In the moment, I was upset. Looking back, that was awful goy slop. I had a journalist reach out to me yesterday morning, and he said, in a request for comment over email, why did you use the term goy slop at a rally at UCF? Because it's funny. Get a life, send. They're more worried about tone policing us than they are about the fact that our country is being auctioned off before our eyes, at the fact that we've already lost 6 service members in Israel's war with Iran. Enough with the word choice. Enough. We are at an existential struggle at a time that is rather interesting because we are at 250 years since our country's founding. And I'll tell you, our founding fathers, they're not going to give us an A on our report card for how the last 10 or 15 years have gone. And so our public schools, guess what? Our students get with the program. 3 incidents of disciplinary action, you're getting expelled. Do not show up to school to fight. Do not show up to school acting a fool. We're going to give you one opportunity. And then there's going to be a parental meeting. The second opportunity, there's going to be a suspension. At the third opportunity, if you keep showing up to school and fighting physically and being not just a disruption to yourself, but to everybody else. For those who went to public school, you know that one class clown, which was often me in high school, in the back of the room, can ruin it for everybody, not least the teacher. It could be, as wise American philosopher Cavicula once said, a career-ending cortisol spike. I'm also asking our public school students, I'm not asking actually, it's a requirement. You're going to check your phones in every single morning. Every single morning. And then there's this often retort by some smart aleck 13-year-old who says, what if there's a school shooting? In the 1 in 1 trillionth chance that there is a school shooting, the last thing I want you to do is be doom scrolling on TikTok. Put your phone up there, you're getting expelled. Because it's a distraction to themselves and to everyone else. There's a 3-rule test to whether you graduate from a public school when I'm governor. Number 1, we're going to take you out of class your senior year without any notice, and we're going to ask you which way the Pacific Ocean is. It's that way, by the way. Not just that it's west, but you have to actually point which way is west, so it's a double test. Number 2, you are going to write out in cursive, word for word, the First and Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, because if you don't know your rights, the government will steal them from you. And number 3, we're going to simulate a little transaction. Someone comes in, buys a soy latte. It's $9.47. They pay with the 50. Congratulations, you have 30 seconds to make change. Go to the register. If you don't know which way is west, if you don't know your constitutional rights, and if you don't know how to make change, then you are not ready to graduate. Again, the choice is clear. Do we want to tell people you're ready to enter the real world and lie to them? Or do we want to be willing to have a tough conversation, raise the standard, look them in the eye, and say, you're not ready yet. I need you to come in for Saturday instruction. I may need you to come in for summer school, because when you get that diploma, it will actually mean something again. We will revive excellence in our public schools. We will fully fund our public schools. We will also fully fund universal school choice in Florida. You don't have to choose. It's often this dilemma, this dichotomy that's presented by the mainstream media and the political operatives, that you have to choose between fully funding public schools and fully funding school choice. It's a false choice. Here's my view. If you as a parent decide in your unimpeachable wisdom that you want to take your child out of a Broward County public school and homeschool them, and Broward County Public Schools was spending $17,000 per student per year, you will get the full $17,000. Every single penny. You've done the courageous thing. You've decided the money was going to get spent over here. And if you're going to pull them out, and not necessarily because it's a failing school. If you talk to most homeschool parents, they don't pull their children out because their school is a D or an F school. It's because they want more control. They want more of a hands-on with their child. Perhaps they're traveling with their child has different abilities, or is really into music or AI or computer science and wants to spend more time doing that. That is your right, and I will defend it. We must fully fund school choice in Florida. Speaking of our constitutional rights, they're hanging by a thread. I don't say that in some hyperbolic, histrionic way. We are losing our rights in front of our eyes. Tell that to Raquel Pacheco, who's from Miami Beach, a 9-year veteran of the National Guard, a 15-year resident of Miami-Dade County, who heard a loud bang on the door. It was police officers from Miami-Dade Police Department who confronted her over what they called an anti-Semitic Facebook post. It's already happening. Now look, hatred of Jews is wrong, hatred of Muslims is wrong, and hatred of the most persecuted group on the face of the earth, Christians, is also wrong. But criticizing Israel, as Raquel did, does not violate your First Amendment rights. Look, you want to criticize Russia, be my guest. You want to criticize Ukraine and that money laundering scheme, be my guest. And if you want to wake up and stand on the side of the road and shout that Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal and what happened in Gaza is genocidal, be my guest. That's your First Amendment right, and I will defend that right. Well, why do you hate Israel? Guys, it's not about any particular country. Our founding fathers and every single soldier in every single war has fought to protect our rights. Protect our right to criticize the American government. I'm pretty sure that applies to foreign governments as well. Anti-Semitism is wrong, but criticizing the Israeli government or voicing concerns about their influence and AIPAC's influence in American politics is protected by the First Amendment. As governor, I will not enforce the silly anti-Semitism law that of all things was signed in Israel. Second Amendment. Every Republican will tell you they're pro-Second Amendment. Like many Republicans will tell you they're pro-life. Let's ask some very simple yes or no questions to get to the heart of that. February 14th, 2018, 17 souls were taken at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland. The reason why people don't shoot up banks is because there are armed guards. And the reason that we don't have the money to protect our students is disgraceful. It is time to fully fortify our public schools by hiring armed guards to protect our students. They don't shoot up the banks because there's a guy with a gun. And when you say you're going to be a champion for public school teachers and public school students and public school parents, you have to be willing to protect our public schools. The tragedy that was Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School paved the way for the tragedy that happened 1 month later in Tallahassee, where Democrats and Republicans voted to take away the Second Amendment right of 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. Very simply, if you are old enough to defend your country, you are old enough to defend your family. We will repeal the stupid gun control bill and reassert the Second Amendment in Florida. Shall not be infringed. That is my view. Well, certainly you're for common sense gun control. That's a euphemism. Well, let's talk about common sense gun control for just a moment. A mom from Miramar just got out of an abusive relationship. She's got 2 young boys at home. She lives in an under-policed, underfunded community. And she fears that her ex will come there tonight and hurt her and her boys. On her way home, she stops at Bass Pro Shops right here off of 95 and goes and wants to buy a small 9mm pistol to protect her, to use her Second Amendment rights. And what is she told? Come back in 3 days. Waiting periods could be the difference between life and death. It is called shall not be infringed. We will not disarm young women who want to protect themselves. We won't. If you're pro-women, guess what? You give women the right to defend themselves. You don't say, oh, come back in 72 hours. It might be too late in 72 hours. You also don't let these red flag laws allow some anonymous person to say, well, he has a gun on the wall and he was listening to Nick Fuentes too loudly. Go take his guns. No. There was a Korea War vet in Polk County in Central Florida. He was having a verbal dispute with an insurance adjuster over the phone. And he lost his temper and he said, if you don't figure this out, I'm going to go down there with a bazooka. What in the call of duty? Later that night, the sheriff's department knocked on his door and took his guns. Disarmed a man who fought for freedom in the Korean War, came in there and took his guns because of a joke. Red flag laws are a joke. We will repeal them in Florida. Yeah. Well, what if somebody is getting into an altercation and I'm in fear for my life and they pull a gun on me? Pulling a gun on someone is a crime in and of itself. Charge them through the criminal courts. Don't play the civil court nonsense where you take young men and young women and disarm them without due process. No attorney, without a court hearing, they can take away your guns. You don't even have to be a pro-gun person. And recognize that without substantive due process, you cannot take away people's constitutional rights. We will end red flag laws. And then we have our Fourth Amendment. I skipped over the third because I don't think there's quartering of troops happening in your home. But if there are, then you can use the Second Amendment. Warrantless searches and seizures are wrong. It was wrong after 9/11 to have the FBI round up Arab Americans just because they looked a certain way and deny them their civil liberties. It was wrong. It was wrong after January 6th to launch the largest investigation in U.S. history because someone walked into the Capitol and shouted. That was wrong. And so guess what? Mass surveillance in all forms against anyone is wrong. I don't care if that mass surveillance is done at the hands of the deep state department or at Peter Thiel's request. Palantir and its mass surveillance state has no place in Florida. The same weapons of war that are trained on foreign adversaries, the same digital weapons that are aimed at our enemies in the Middle East should never be pointed at American citizens. As governor, I will ban Palantir from all government contracts. Well, what about liberty? What about liberty? Yes, because when Ben Franklin said liberty for all, he meant a $300 billion tech company spying on you and giving you a social credit score because you listened to Candace Owens too loudly in the shower. No to Palantir, no to flock cameras, no to the Fourth Amendment violations in our state. This is not about Republican. What is the Republican Party anymore? What is it? I really don't get it. If you went to the halls of Congress and you stopped a congressman, one of these Republican self-important tools, and you said, what do you stand for? Well, I'm against woke. You know, I asked you, what do you stand for? Well, I'm against the drag queens. What do you believe in? I believe in the Republican Party. Well, what does that stand for? It stands for tax cuts. It stands for foreign wars. You ask a Republican in the halls of Congress today what they stand for, and they give you this perplexing deer in the headlights look, because most Republican establishment hacks who are in the DC swamp, the only thing they know is to be reflexively against the Democratic Party. It's time for the Republicans to stand for something once again.
Yeah.
Well, I'm against Kamala Harris. I'm against Zohran Mamdani. Great. It has nothing to do with us, actually. I'm no fan of Kamala Harris. I'm no fan of Zohran, although we're both in our 30s and we look good. It's irrelevant. The point is, enough. Enough with the yelling and the screaming. Enough with Republicans calling patriotic Democrats Marxist. Enough with Democrats calling patriotic Trump supporters fascists. Enough with writing off the legitimate concerns of young men all over this country as groypers and neo-Nazis. I will never disavow American patriots. I'm coming in there to unify. I can't stand the thought of someone in your family or someone you know who's canceled you, ghosted you, blocked you because you told them you voted a certain way in the last election. I am not going to be someone who spends my time bashing the Democrats on CNN, because I'll tell you, any problems that are afflicting us today, there's only one party to blame, because they're in charge right now. They control the House, they control the Senate, they control the Supreme Court, Israel controls the White House, but whatever. The point is, what are we complaining for? All of the know-nothing Republicans can do is go on Fox News, whine, write strongly worded letters, and rage bait on Twitter. That's all they can do. What have you done for me lately? When you say make America great again, I think even Democrats, divorce it from the Trumpian rhetoric. I think Democrats, if you said make America great again, yes, divorce it from the Trump, you would say yes. But make America great again for whom? For billionaires? For Wall Street? For the stock market? For whom? Make America great again for American citizens. That will be our North Star if you give us this opportunity. Because there are certain things that we can and we should compromise on. There are certain things we should never move an inch on. But at the end of the day, we all pledge allegiance to that flag. How you pray, how you look, where you live, none of that matters if you are our brothers and sisters. We have to fight to reassert the self-evident truth outlined in the Declaration of Independence that all men are created equal. And that is what we can do together. I'm not asking you for your vote. I'm asking you to hire me. I'm asking you to think before you go to the polling booth, to close your eyes, not now, that'd be weird, but to close your eyes and say, look, I might not agree with Fishback on everything, but I think that between those two men at the top of the ballot, he is the far better option to wake up every single day and do whatever it takes for me and my family to get by. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not doing the trust me bro politics. I am done being a plan truster after the last couple of weeks. So I'm not going to tell you to trust me and blindly do so. I'm going to do what no other political candidate has ever done. In the next week, I will sign a legally binding document in front of a United States federal courthouse here in Florida. That document will say that I, James Fishback, commit to doing A, B, C, D, and if I don't do A and B and C, not or, A and B and C and D, that if I don't do those things as your governor, I will irreversibly, irrevocably, and permanently give up my right to run for re-election in 2030. Sign the dotted line. You should expect this from every single politician. Republican, Democrat, top of the ticket, all the way down to the bottom. Ask Congressman Donalds to do the same thing. Put your 5 key executive commitments on paper and sign a legally binding document under penalty of perjury that would literally prevent me from running re-election. That is how serious I am about working for you and your family. We got a lot of work ahead of us. Florida is the best state in the country, but that means nothing if the people who made it the best can no longer afford to live here. We got work to do on property taxes, property insurance, auto insurance. I've already talked about the tolls as well. We've got 150 million unique tourists every single year. Let them pay for our tolls so we can eliminate tolls for Florida residents. And this came to me standing across from a woman in Lake County, a mom in her early 30s who just wants to spend more time with her 2 boys at home, but is giving up half an hour a day with her kids on the way home from work because she doesn't have money for the tolls. Stop taxing us to death. I'm a business guy. When you have an undervalued asset and when you can charge a little bit more, you can charge a little bit more. I'll tell you right now, I don't have any political experience. I don't want to gaslight you. I don't want to catfish you, even though I campaigned on Tinder last month. I don't want to do any of that. I want to tell you the truth about where I stand. I did not go to Congress for 5 years like Byron Donalds and make $4.8 million trading stocks. I did not go to Congress and sign every single one of those spending bills that took more of our money, money that we don't have, to buy things that we don't need and give it to countries who hate us. I did not, like Byron Donalds, side with Joe Biden to eliminate the vetting requirements for so-called Afghan refugees, one of whom came to the country and shot 2 National Guardsmen the day before Thanksgiving last year. I did not go to Congress and authorize billions of dollars to be borrowed from China and sent to Israel. I have 0 days of political experience. What I offer is business experience. I'd like to think of myself as a problem solver. Judge it by the outcome and the outcome alone. How we get there, irrelevant. Let's get to the outcome. Last year alone, my investment firm deployed $40 million of capital in businesses all over the country in finance and tech and healthcare who were doing the crazy thing, which was rejecting DEI and hiring young people, black or white, straight or gay, male or female, based on the content of their character, their merit, and their skill. That is my approach. Is meritocracy always is king. So I come at this to say, if you want political experience, you've got Congressman Donalds. If you want Republican Party politics, grievance, victimhood, attack the Democrats, that's all we know how to do, making fun of Kamala Harris. 1, she oftentimes deserves it, but 2, who cares? She doesn't hold any power. What are we talking about? Say what you want about Kamala Harris. She didn't start a war with Iran. I'm going to get in trouble for saying that. But say what you want about her. So, I got a lot of flack. Ted Cruz attacked me last week because I said that Kamala Harris was right in saying that the war with Iran was reckless and was unjustified. Guess what? That doesn't make you a traitor to your party. That makes you a patriot to your country. Democrats and Republicans must come together once again. We must unite against a common threat that seeks to dispossess us. My name is James Fishback. I am a 4th-generation Floridian. And I believe that Florida is our home. America is our birthright. And we can never, ever let anyone steal that from us. Thank you so much. Now remember, I asked you to hire me, so now comes the job interview. Yes, sir.
You're not hot in that jacket?
I am. There's no fan back here. It's okay. This has become the signature jacket on the campaign trail. Yes, ma'am.
I know that you mentioned problems with car insurance, health insurance, and everything else, but you're not saying what you plan on doing, how you plan on changing this, especially with FPL.
That's right. And so let me get into the how. Let's get into the nitty-gritty if you'll allow me. So let's start with the first thing. Why, when you look at a high price on anything, it could be a pizza, why is this pizza cost $80, this pizza? The first thing you have to look toward is competition. If this is the only pizza place within 50 miles, maybe that's why the pizza costs $80. So long term, the insurance problem is one of competition. More competition will always help bring down prices, but that can't happen overnight. We can't bring all these insurance companies that have left over the last 10 years back overnight. So here's my crazy view. If they are going to regulate us to buy their insurance, which they do, both auto and property insurance, we are allowed to regulate them back in a very common sense way that says you're not allowed to increase premiums without a justification. You're not allowed to raise prices beyond what market forces allow. And so call me crazy. I'm no fan of regulation, but if you regulate us, we are allowed to regulate in a common sense way back to you. And that's what I would do as governor.
That's a serious question, Art. What will make you different from the typical politician who just go with the flow and behind is a puppet to big business, just like DeSantis? What's the difference? What can you bring to the table that will make you different and be a puppet to big business?
Well, I would say first and foremost, I couldn't prove that one way or the other right now. I just couldn't. What I can tell you is that follow our campaign very closely. What I've said is no money from AIPAC, no money from corporate PACs, no money from the very entities and the influences that have destroyed our state over the last 10 to 15 years. The second thing is that commitment on paper will make it very clear where I stand, and that'll be legally binding. But I believe that I can't tell people to trust me as much as I'd love to. I have to show you that I'm worthy of earning your trust. I have zero political alliances. In fact, everyone in Tallahassee hates me. Quite literally, there's this guy, Jason Pizzo, the senator for Broward County in the Florida State Senate, who tried to propose an amendment last week to remove my name off the ballot. And more Republicans stood with him than Democrats. Even the Democrats said, you can't take his name off the ballot. Because apparently I own an apartment in Washington, D.C. That means that I'm not qualified to be governor. And so he wants to remove my name from the ballot unilaterally. And so my view is this. Study the candidate very closely. Congressman Donalds and myself. I must show you that I am worthy of earning your trust. And if I earn your trust at the last minute, I would be honored. If I can't do that, I will understand. Because whether you're a Democrat or Republican, or if you've called neither party home, politics is a game that has gotten way too out of control.
For those of us here in Broward County that are concerned about public schools shutting down, even if we may have graduated long ago, tell us how you will commit to making sure that land is used in a way that benefits us here in Broward County or any county within Florida that sadly loses a public school or two.
Yeah. Well, again, when you shut down a public school, it's often driven by one factor, which is money alone. And so if that is the only factor, you will shut down public schools. But if instead you look at what is the school offering the community, how far is the nearest school? If it's 10 to 15 miles away, that becomes untenable. So my commitment is this. Keep public schools open so long as the entire dashboard, not just the funding, but so long as the entire dashboard is working. And that when public schools, if in the event they are sold, they don't become strip malls, that they stay for some sort of educational use. Thank you.
First and foremost, I want to give you credit for putting your hat in the ring. Anyone that wants to go into politics these days, kudos to you. I think my question is, being that you've had no political experience,
Yes.
you're going to have to negotiate with the new federal administration, and I'll be more specific. One of which, this administration seems to be really going after abuse of systems, whether it's Medicaid, Medicare, Department of Health, grants, or waiver systems, which allows itself for abuse. How will you protect the state of Florida should abuse be detected? Because Trump's current administration immediately just stops funding.
Yeah.
So should there be a crack in the system, how will you work with President Trump to negotiate?
That's a great question. And I will work with anyone, Democrat or Republican. I have to recognize that, one, I'm willing to work with President Trump as a Republican. I voted for him, and I'll make no apology for that or no secret of it. I'm also willing to work with, heaven forbid, Gavin Newsom if he becomes president one day. Here's my view, is this. Two things can be true at the same time. There is a ton of fraud in federal welfare programs like Medicare and Medicaid. That's the first truth. And the second truth is that you don't have to cut everybody off, including our seniors and our vets. And so what I will always commit to do is to keep an open line of communication. This is one thing that I think you want to think about as you're hiring your next governor, is who can sell the case to the federal government? Who can call President Trump and make the case for not shutting down all Medicare funding for Florida residents? Who can personally make a compelling and cogent case to the 47th President of the United States that we need to have more VA funding at our facilities and hospitals here in Florida? And so you're electing a lot of things, but you're also electing a communicator and a negotiator. And part of it is, look, I'm no fan of Gavin Newsom. I'm no fan of some of these Democrats, but I also have to maintain good relationships with them, both at the state level and at the federal level, because anything that happens in Florida, whether it's a state or a federal issue, is my problem. It doesn't matter, oh, well, my student loan got cut. Well, that's your problem. That's a federal program. No. If it happens to a Florida resident in the state of Florida, it is my problem too, and that will always be my approach. And I can tell you, just the secret with President Trump is you have to call him between the hours of 11:30 at night and 1 a.m. That's the only time I call him, because that is the sweet spot. Otherwise, he's getting pulled in 15 different directions, and he's always, what do you want? And so that's a very interesting approach, and I practice that in debate. Gee, what's that? Who is that guy? Yes, sir. Oh, wait, we're sorry. Where are you, Kai?
Right here.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
First of all, I'd like to say, as a Trump supporter who's seen what's happened over the last few days, devastated by the decisions that were made. I lost a lot of hope. And when I saw your speeches lately, I just want to say I feel like this is hope for us again. And as an American, that means a lot. My question is, I have a 13-year-old son, and I've been following the health issues, like the First Lady testing for arsenic and glyphosate in our foods, and it was great to see Florida step up and do that and show the country what's happening, but what do we do after that? Like, there's still food on the shelves that we're buying for our families, and I'm very concerned.
It's a great question. I think First Lady DeSantis has done an incredible job leading this effort. Honestly, I would ask her to continue leading that effort. I would hope she would do that, and I'd be honored if she accepted that, because two things. She is so incredibly invested in it as a mom of 3 beautiful children, but also she's a brilliant communicator to go out and to connect with parents and physicians. So I would extend that opportunity to Casey DeSantis. The second thing I'll say is that you're spot on. Healthcare and food safety are inseparable. If we said tomorrow that every single citizen in our state will get free health care, not that I support that, but every single one of them is going to get free health care, and then we checked back in a year and said, well, is everybody healthier? No. Why would they be? When they're still eating crap that has been laced with glyphosate, when they're still eating the stuff on the shelves that's got seed oils and hydrogenated oils and etc. And so my view is that long-term health is driven by the food and the stuff that we put in our body. That begins first and foremost with education. How can we help parents, as Casey DeSantis has done? How can we educate them on what is being served at our grocery stores, at our supermarkets, and on our shelves. And so that's a partnership I want to continue to seek out. But healthcare and food safety, they are one in the same. And I believe just giving out free healthcare to everybody may not make people healthier. In fact, you look at some of these Instagram Maha influencers, they haven't been to the doctor in 10 years, and they're in the best shape of their lives. And so my view is combine those two together, create a world-class communication line with parents, with students, with seniors that says, look, let's get real about what's in our food and be willing to stand up to the agricultural industry in Florida to say, you can't spray this and you can't spray that. Not because we want to hurt your business, but because we want to protect our health. Yeah.
Thanks for taking my question. Appreciate it. Moved here from California in 2020 for very obvious reasons, so I'm a proud Floridian now. But my question, I'm 32 years old, or basically the same age. One of the most toxic things attacking men between the ages of 18 and 34 is gambling apps.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of power you'll have as governor to ban these gambling apps, call sheet polymarket. Chris Christie's talked about it very publicly about how these things are breaking state law as well as federal law.
Yeah.
What will you do to protect specifically young men from the addiction of sports betting?
Yeah, that's right. It's a good question because I think that when we talk about the government taxing people, that's one form of taxation. I also think that we allow ourselves to tax our own income by doing stupid, reckless, irresponsible things like gambling. Now look, growing up, if my parents wanted to go gamble and blow $5,000, they'd have to get in the car, drive 30 minutes to the Hard Rock right down the street. They'd have to park the car, go in, smell the cigarette smoke, and to lose $5,000 at the Hard Rock might take you 12 hours. You can put on, I kid you not, you can place a bet right now about whether Candace Owens will endorse me in this race. And then you can do a parlay bet about whether Candace will endorse me and whether I will go to Mar-a-Lago in the next 15 days. There is no legitimate reason for that kind of irresponsible gambling. And so my view is, in the same way online pornography has engulfed men and trapped them in this addictive habit, so has online gambling. Gambling in and of itself is not really a bad thing. I think it's fun to go to a casino, hang out with friends, go to Vegas for a crazy weekend, whatever. But when you can, from the comfort of your own...
Or on the toilet, literally.
I was going to say toilet, actually, so you read my mind. I'm concerned about that, but okay. That from the comfort of your heated toilet, I'll adjust it, from your heated toilet, that you can bet $5,000 on a six-way parlay for an NFL game. That is degenerate, that is immoral, and we will take care of it in Florida. And by the way, if we're really going to, my background, I started my career as a derivatives trader at a hedge fund. So I can tell you that the way these bets are priced, it's totally rigged. If you're actually very good, they end up banning you from the online betting app anyway.
Just like a casino.
Just like a casino is. And so, look, I think there's always going to be a place to work with Indian tribes in Florida, in large part because those casinos also do employ local labor in food and beverage. I love the work that the Seminoles have done, and I'll work with them within reason. But at the end of the day, I also think that the degeneracy of online gambling is no different than the degeneracy of OnlyFans. Look, pornography has been with us from the beginning of time. But nobody here, I was growing up in the 90s. I never knew a porn star. Now, if you're a 14 or 15-year-old, you may know someone within your personally who is on OnlyFans. And so I think women should never be exploited by men to sell their bodies on the internet. Full stop. Young women once aspired to be teachers and physicians and nurses and lawyers and pastry chefs and small business owners. And now they're told, well, you can't pay your tuition? Sell nudes. You can't pay your groceries? Sell videos. DM men in distant places sexual favors. That is wrong, and I will stand up to it because that's the pro-women thing to do. Hey, yeah. No, Kai's
Mr. Fishback, my charter school has forced me to watch a homosexual movie. And
which one?
It's a movie called Nimona. It's available.
I thought it was Brokeback Mountain. Now, Brokeback Mountain's actually a good movie. We'll take that out of context.
And and my charter school forced me to do a written assignment based on the movie, and the movie was really disturbing. Do you promise as governor to never let anything like this ever happen again?
So, I need more context. I mean, of course, I'm against degeneracy in our public schools. I think it would be just as bad to watch a sexual movie between a man and a woman. So what happened in the movie? I haven't seen it.
Well, it shows two gay men.
Like existing or... Okay, kissing? Kissing?
Yes, kissing.
So I don't think there should be any kissing between men or men in our public schools. I mean, in terms of a video, I don't think it's appropriate, period. So I think that there's this idea that, we should legislate one way for one group or the other. I'll give you an example. There are movies out there where you have, let's see, it's called Wolf of Wall Street, right? Wolf of Wall Street is not appropriate for public schools or charter schools because of the sex, and so I think any kind of intimacy or sex between anybody should never be in our public schools, so you have my word on that. You need to wear a neon vest, Kai.
Hi there.
Hey.
Yeah. The past few decades, the price of homes has gone up exponentially, and the buying power of people have gotten less and less.
Mm-hmm.
How do you promise as governor to increase the buying power of Florida citizens so that they're able to afford a home by 30 and be married?
This is a good question, and this is really the heart of it. Look, if my parents bought their first home in Shenandoah for $104,000 in 1996. The home now is $500,000. It went up by 5 times. That's a lot. But if your income had gone up by 10 times, you wouldn't be complaining. It's not just that prices have gone up. It's that prices have gone up and our take-home wages have not gone up at the same pace. So there's 2 things we have to do. The first of which is we have to tackle housing affordability as its own discrete issue. For example, get Wall Street, get Blackstone, get private equity out of hoarding our homes. First and foremost, get out. Get out. Well, isn't that a violation of the Constitution? Where in the Constitution does it say that a foreign company with billions of dollars can outbid a Navy veteran and his wife from buying a home in Sunrise, Miramar, or Oakland Park? Get Wall Street out of the single-family housing market. But two, we also have to address the take-home pay issue. How do we raise take-home pay? Well, look, ultimately, when you have cheap foreign labor in your labor market by the degree of 1.7 million in Florida alone, that brings down wages for everybody else. The person who works at Disney or behind the counter at Marriott, they're getting paid $8 an hour. They won't hire us because they'll work for $8 because we want a living wage and a market wage, and we want $15, $16, $17 an hour. And so part of it is having a governor that stands up to big interests in the business world and says, no, you're not going to hire foreigners. Take them out of the labor market by exacting a fine on companies to do that and then incentivizing them to hire us. There are so many jobs out there. I met with a student from Florida State a couple weeks ago. Top of his class in computer science, applied for 100 different positions at Amazon. Amazon told him in response, we're not hiring right now. That was a lie because Amazon just applied for 10,000 new H-1B visas, 78% of which will be filled by immigrants from India. So I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, it's wrong to let greedy billion-dollar companies refuse to hire us and import cheap foreign labor. Get the foreign labor out, get great paying jobs to us, and we solve that problem. We'll do 2 more. This is the first one.
Mr. Fishback, my question is, how exactly are you going to ban Palantir since their contract is with the federal government? And let's say you try to ban them, the federal government can say, well, we have federal power. We, what's the term?
Supremacy clause.
Supremacy clause, you know?
Yeah. So the supremacy clause supersedes everything except the Fourth Amendment and the Bill of Rights. And so the supremacy clause does not give the federal government to run roughshod over your Fourth Amendment right to be protected from a warrantless search and seizure. Secondarily, you can, as governor, absolutely ban Palantir from any local or state contracts. And they'll tell us it's for deportation. They'll tell us it's keeping us safe. They said the same thing after 9/11 with the Patriot Act, and they illegally spied on millions of Americans. I'm not falling for this line that it's in our best interest, because at the end of the day, the road to hell is always paved with good intentions.
Hey James, thanks for coming out, man. The second time we've seen you.
Thank you for the shirt.
Great job, man. Yeah, thank you for the shirt. Good price too. So you kind of answered my question with the last guy, but the second thing is, it sounds simple, but the condition of our roads is horrific. And I mean, the last 10 years, I would say the last 10 years, they've gotten, you know, you drive down Los Olas and there's potholes the size of 5-gallon buckets. And there's, you know, Davie Boulevard is, I live off Davie Boulevard, and I mean, I remember the roads used to be a lot better here.
Yeah.
And it just seems like endless construction, and you know, when do we get Davie Boulevard repaved? Like, when do we get our roads in Fort Lauderdale to look like... I was at Panama City Beach yesterday. I'm a boat captain. I was up there running a boat, and the roads up there are beautiful. All brand new pavement, smooth, beautiful, and then I come back south, and it's like, it's terrible. I mean, is there anything that you can do as governor to improve the roads? I just want nice roads.
Yeah, we all do, and this is the basic. We pay our taxes, we show up, we do what's expected of us, and the government can't keep the roads functioning. It's also an issue if you want to go back to your question about auto insurance. Auto insurance premiums are so high in Florida because of the infrastructure is so poor that lends itself to more auto accidents, more crashes, etc. So this is where the political mind I reject and I embrace my business background. Here's how you can solve this problem pretty quickly. You put a bounty that says that any private citizen, so long as they follow very simple guidelines with respect to concrete and pavement, whatever, any private citizen can fill a pothole. And if they document that, they can come to the state government and get a $500 check, no questions asked. Why are we going to wait for the government? The government created the problem. They can't fix the problem. And so it's the same thing, you know, and I got to tell you, I was out with the cowboy python in the Everglades 2 weeks ago. He's awesome. Mike's a great guy. And we went and caught a 9-foot python, which I named Byron, which is rather interesting. I'm turning the python into a belt, by the way, which I will use on July 21st to give him the whooping of a lifetime on that Fox debate stage. That's how my mom hit me. I still have PTSD.
Belt ass.
So I think that's just the approach that I have, right? Is if you're going to put a contract to kill pythons, which is awesome, by the way, show me the incentive, I'll show you the outcome. There is no incentive. In fact, you as a private citizen, if you try to fix that pothole that I can see over there on Griffin Road, guess what? They'd arrest you. They'd arrest you. And so here's where I think we need out-of-the-box thinking. The traditional politician would sit here and nod his head and agree with you. We need to increase infrastructure, whatever. Irrelevant. Why don't we just say, if you fill a pothole up to spec, it has to be up to spec. You can't fill it up with Play-Doh. If you fill the pothole up to spec, you know, probably between the hours of, 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. It can't be in the middle of the day. Has to be cornered off with lights or whatever. You get $500. Do you know how many young men who don't have a job right now would sign up? You guys could make $5,000 a day filling potholes all over the state. I'm not going to wait for the government to solve our problems. Let's put a private sector solution to the test. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you.